It's been a real privilege to work with them and to hear what they've got to say. What they've written today is their thoughts. We asked them what they thought was important in alcohol education, but also how alcohol affects them as young people and their perception of what young people face today. So we have with us Mary Lou, we have Rosalind, we have Tom, we have Kira, and we have Eric. And they're going to talk to you about what they feel is important for young people and alcohol.
Good afternoon everyone, I'm Rosalind, and as a peer group we believe that alcohol education is extremely important in schools. This is due to the experiences that we as young people have experienced. We live in an area of extreme social deprivation. This means that many of the young people that live around us feel that there's nothing social to do on the weekends. This is where the dangers begin. Many young people I know drink to be social. They feel that it's a good way to meet people from other schools. Whilst this is sometimes the case, it more often than not isn't.
Good evening, I'm Mary Lou, and I'm going to talk about the effects towards short-term alcohol abuse, like aggressiveness, spiking drinks and drink driving. 83% of women and 64% of men have all said that they have had a risk of getting their drink spiked. With spiking drinks, you need to be very careful with that because there's many multiple risks that could happen. People, especially my age, can become very vulnerable, and when they turn up to parties, you don't know who really arrives. Also with mixing drinks, we all need to help decide what drinks go where because it's all dependent on our health and again vulnerability. And if people like us can be very vulnerable, we can get into cars, it can lead basically anywhere. So, yeah.
One of the worst effects of alcohol on young people is that it makes us very vulnerable. Drinking alcohol lowers your inhibitions and makes you do things that you wouldn't ordinarily feel comfortable doing. Around 50% of people that have sex under the legal age of consent are under the influence of alcohol and regret it the next day. This regret can have a negative effect on people's mental well-being and lower their self-esteem. On top of the mental effects, there's also a heightened risk of physical effects on young people. These are risks like teenage pregnancies and the contracting of STIs.
Hello, I'm Eric. Vulnerability can also cause a fight where someone involved can be harmed or conceive a life-threatening injury. This will also cause arrest and prison sentences due to the violence. Another point is that you can argue with the community and become embarrassed. You may disrespect some people, which could lead to racism and sexism. The embarrassment may cause anxiety and heighten your emotions like depression, making you irrational and paranoid.
Hello, my name is Kira. Another short-term outcome of drinking too much alcohol that could cause much larger problems is drink driving. It's been recorded that in the previous year, over 8,500 people were killed or injured in a drink driving incident. This is usually caused by alcohol slowing down nerve cells so people's reaction times are slower as a result of their brains not functioning properly.
Hello, I'm Tom. Not only does alcohol affect people in the short term, misuse can hinder people throughout their lives. An example of this would be how families become divided when the stigma of alcohol is involved. Families and friends may struggle to cope with close ones who are under the negative influence and become conflicted when spending time with them or looking after them when vulnerable. Alcohol not only affects your home life, but can impact you in the workplace.
This is because around 70% of employers check a candidate's social media accounts before hiring them, as well as 43% of employers check in their employees' social media accounts regularly. If they see that you're out drinking, then it shows that you're irresponsible and unreliable. This can deteriorate the trust they have in you as an employee. However, these posts don't necessarily have to come from you personally. These can be posts that you've been tagged in by your friends. This is why, when you're drinking alcohol, you need to regulate the amount that you drink, what you post, and how you act.
This also leads on to your mental well-being and health and safety as a young teen. Our bodies are not aware and are very vulnerable to alcohol, making hazards for our health in times to come, such as liver failure or other serious problems including strokes, cancer of the breast and heart disease. Over time, excessive alcohol can lead to development of chronic disease. Your health is extremely important and your health helps you support your body. Teens or younger children are usually come across as vulnerable or negative under the use of alcohol abuse. For example, physical fights. People who drink too much become victims of violence, which may encounter risks, which also can lead on to later on in life when you become dependent on alcohol. You can't support yourself or anyone around you. And it is extremely important to teach this to children at schools, not to just tell them alcohol is bad, but to teach them and not manipulate them.
I believe that alcohol awareness should be taught in schools, as there is an estimated number of around 600,000 dependent drinkers in the UK. This is becoming even more of a problem recently, as young people are trying alcohol and becoming dependent at a much younger age. Alcohol dependency can have devastating effects, for example, for a young child at home. If a child's parent is an alcoholic, it may lead to abuse, neglect, and the child would also have nowhere to learn the negatives of drinking alcohol. I feel strongly about this as my own mother was left caring for her father when she was only a teenager due to the illnesses his alcohol abuse caused. This had a huge impact on her life and ultimately left her without a father at a very young age. Luckily for her, me and my siblings, her mother did show her that that was not a good way to live your life, but this is not the case for everybody. By teaching alcohol awareness in schools, we can teach children what addiction looks like, offer support where needed, and possibly change lives. This is exactly why young children should be taught about this from a very young age, which is a subject I know Eric feels very strongly about.
I'm going to expand on the point of early consumption. 15% of people aged 11 have admitted to consuming alcohol. This means that in primary school, people have consumed alcohol. This is not illegal, as gov.uk says. It is illegal to give alcohol to children under 5, thus meaning that some children that are in reception class can drink alcohol. This means that we must teach alcohol education in primary schools. Even though it is already somewhat taught in schools, the system needs to be changed. Primary schools often teach a negative stigma about alcohol, making it seem as if it is a bad thing, which it is not. Schools need to teach about alcohol properly and less negatively. They need to emphasise the fact that it is not illegal to drink, but there are still risks involved, like the ones we looked at before. We must teach how to drink safely and how to drink responsibly. With this, we can inform the youth on a more balanced and realistic approach to alcohol.
When teaching young people about the risks and novelties of alcohol, we believe it should be done in a conversational environment to break the stigma. Don't drink lessons are no longer relevant, as most youth will already have them regardless. Education should be gaining an understanding of the risks involved and how to approach alcohol sensibly. A discussion setting would mean students feel comfortable enough to share their own thoughts and feelings. Up until recently, alcohol has been demonised in education. Thanks to the Alcohol Education Trust and other charities, the gloom around drinking has been alleviated.
Thank you everyone for listening to our points on why alcohol awareness should be taught in schools. If anyone has any queries or questions for any of us, we would be happy to answer them for you now.